Hello, everyone. Mark Hutto here with episode number 3 of Hiring with Hutto. Pleased to be with you again today. Happy Thursday for those of you attending live. We had quite a few people register for this event, so we're happy to have you here. Before we get into today's topic, which is attracting emerging talent, where we have a special guest, and you probably know who I'm talking about from the ads and promos and stuff we've done. I want to introduce one more time, again, my wingman, MC, Justin Maharana. We also refer to him as Lil Sauce. So, Sauce, great to have you again.
Always glad to be here. Welcome, guys, and good to see everybody again today. A few notes before we get started. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to our LinkedIn profile as well to our new YouTube profile where we'll be hosting the videos, so you guys can always come back and watch it. And then Mark and our guests will be going over a number of different documents and assets. And of course, we at Reveal are always about sharing our knowledge with you all. So if you want access to those documents and assets, just simply email us at givemethegoods@revealglobal.com, and we'll be happy to provide them for you. So without any further ado, Mark, why don't you go ahead and take us away?
All right. Thanks, Sauce. Hey, so emerging talent, attracting emerging talent. We're at that time of the year again where the latest group of college graduates are beginning their transition into the workforce. So we wanted to spend some time today talking about what your organization can do to attract this very fresh talent, eager talent. And to help with the topic, I've invited our Director of Talent Development, Mark Allred, to join us. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, good to see you. Glad to be here.
So let me introduce Mark real quick. He is joining us 7-8 months ago after 25 years leading in positions in the wireless industry. And like a lot of people these days, he found himself impacted by a restructuring of different departments and so forth during the pandemic. And instead of going back into that same organization into a new leadership position, which he was offered, he decided to just pivot and to pursue his passion and really a given talent for helping professionals find rewarding work. And he invested and went deep and became certified as an international coach in the ICF, International Coaching Federation, as a certified career coach. And he's also has certifications in coaching in 2 other organizations. And today he runs our REVEALTalent community. So Mark, why don't you start with just introducing what is REVEALTalent community? Just give just an outline of what the organization is all about.
Well, first, one of my favorite topics. So thank you for starting with that. That's awesome. It began with that question that we sometimes pose to the career-minded individual. How important do you believe proactive career management is versus just seeing where the winds take you, right? So those who know that it's an important struggle, and they need to summon all the resources and strategies they can find to do that. So we help these guys in 4 really key ways. First, we offer them a place to go to find all the latest resources for a job search or for just preparing for that next step in the career. So that's the first thing. Number 2, we challenge them to master the critical habits and the skills of what we call a career pro. And they do this through the Career Pro pathway, which is a coaching pathway. We lead them through some different things that really deal with the fundamentals of being a professional. Number 3, we surround them with a community of like-minded professionals. And this is for support and encouragement. Anyone who's been in a job search particularly, but even just trying to figure out that career, knows how important it is to just surround yourself with people that get you and understand your circumstance. And then finally, number 4, for those who make the investment in themselves, and they do the things necessary to call themselves a career pro, we use the resources and the connections that we have, that we established as a recruiting company, to make introductions for them to not only the companies that we know, but also the companies they want to work for.
So I know when we first started putting this together, you had this vision of really appealing to 3 different segments, and that's starters, seekers, and transitioners. And today we're really kind of talking about starters, which are those people coming out of school or recently out of school. So Talk to the viewers and listeners today about what the community does for emerging talent, those coming out of school right now.
Yeah, and I'm excited to say we're off to a really good start. We've already been building bridges with college career centers to make these graduates and their families more aware of the many ways that we can support them in that transition, tough transition sometimes from the college community to the working world. So think for a second, Mark, about all those parents and family members out there that have been thinking about what's that perfect graduation gift. Well, now we're seeing graduates being gifted a 6-month membership in our community and a coaching pathway that helps them become proactive and intentional, not only about how they're going to get their first job out of school, but also how they're going to map that long road of their career.
It's important to mention, I think, too, that there's a lot available in resources that don't cost a thing at revealtalent.com. And we're working to build scholarship funds for people who can't, dig into their pocket at all for any of this. So, but Mark, you talk about that long career road, and I know you've talked about this. One of the resources, maybe. As a good example, is that career trajectory analysis. That's a brilliant thing. Talk about what that is. How does it help anyone, especially an early talent individual?
Well, and I know a lot of your viewers out there, the challenge they're facing is finding, talent, but that same talent is having a tough time finding them. So, we as a recruiter, we're equipped to find people. So that's what we do. That's what this company has done for a long time. And we do that for, the kind of clients that are listening here. But we found that the same tools that we use to find people for a company can be used to help a job seeker, particularly somebody coming out of school, to find people that have the same degree, the same credentials and work experiences as these members. And then what we do is we show the members where they are now. And so what that reveals is perhaps maybe some new companies, new positions that our members didn't even know existed. And also, and this is most important, it shows them the path they took to get there. So, that's one of the big key importances of it. But also, as they get this information, they're also going to find some names of folks who have maybe some like-minded experiences that maybe they can add to their network of folks on LinkedIn.
I love that. And so I think about like an engineering graduate who's got their eye on a specific path of engineering. And what you're talking about here with the career trajectory analysis is the ability to say, here's 150 people who are in that role that you want to be in 5 years. And you can show them the path that any one of them took to get there. It's like clairvoyance almost, that you really want from a career standpoint. How did they get there? Without having to go talk to 150 people, you can look at the data and see how they chose to get there. And the paths are all very different.
And I tell you, Mark, I would have loved to have had that coming out of school.
Amen.
Many kids coming out of school, I didn't know where to go. I knew what I wanted, but what companies will do that? So I'm hoping it'll be a valuable resource as it continues to evolve.
Yeah. I can't help but notice off to the side the chat that's coming in from some of the attendees. Katya White, glad to have you. We're glad you're attending. So thanks for the shout out there. So, Mark, you have this podcast you started recently, Career Progressions, plural. And I know that on that podcast recently you had Carrie Royer, who's the global director of talent acquisition for Verizon. And this is something she knows, this emerging talent topic is something she's passionate about. She knows a whole lot about it. And she talked to you about what proactive employers are doing to attract emerging talent these days. For those that didn't catch that podcast yet, can you talk about some of the things you took away from that conversation with Carrie?
Yeah, absolutely. Carrie was great. She brought some amazing ideas there, and I'll try to summarize some of them for you here. But first, let me say, hey, if you want to hear the entire podcast and the whole conversation, there's one more out there. The other guest wasn't as good. I think it was you, but it's still good stuff. So we we've got a couple that are rolling out there. It's the Career Progressions podcast, and you can find it on your favorite podcast app. We're on all of them. So let me tell you first, the first thing that Carrie said, and this is an important thing to hear. If your company is just now going after the talent, it's too late.
You're talking about today's grads.
Yeah. I mean, if you're right here where we are, and at the time that this was filmed, we've just gotten through graduation, and they're these kids now who've graduated and they're looking for what's up. But if this is when you first engaged with them, a lot of the best talent, well, they were wooed and signed months ago. In fact, a lot of the proactive companies like Verizon started positioning themselves as the right destination for those graduates when they were rising to their junior year. So right as they're rising to junior year. So what they do is they start inviting students to their well-organized and marketed intern and co-op programs, really around that August timeframe that they're rising to that junior year. And here's the crazy part I didn't know that Carrie shared with me. They sign them up in August for an internship that actually starts the following summer. Now, here's why I'm glad that I heard that. My son Logan is a rising junior. So you better believe as soon as we got off of that podcast, I'm like, dude, you need to start going out there and thinking about what companies you want to look at, because now's the time to start looking. Once we get into August, we want to get an idea where you want to go. So very valuable info from her on that.
Well, take that example with Logan. I mean, what is he going to do to find an internship? Where does he start?
Well, and so Carrie actually spoke to that on our podcast. And so first and foremost, you should promote it on your website. That's what they do. But she also said there are two great online resources that one of them is called Handshake and the other one is called Way Up. So again, Handshake and Way Up. And these companies use a partnership with universities to get the word out. So it's a great place. I mean, the students connect through those two things, the companies do, and they meet each other right there on the platform.
All these resources out there that it's every day, every week, it seems. I mean, we're discovering different recruitment technology all the time, but this is amazing. It's Way Up and Handshake, huh?
You got it.
Yeah. So you talked about internships versus co-ops, and I suspect most of our viewers know the difference. But how about for those who don't know the difference between the two? Can you lay that out?
Sure. Carrie talked a lot about that. So the simple answer is the length. Okay. So a co-op usually is like this multi-work term agreement between the employer and whatever university that traditionally alternates. It goes between like school and then work. And then it's probably at least 3 terms. So what it really does is it takes perhaps a 4-year degree program and turns it into 5. So that student's really kind of putting both feet in the working world, or 1 foot in the working world, 1 foot in schooling. But an internship's a little different. I mean, this is normally just kind of a 1-term assignment. And most of the time it's all done in the summer. So it's a little bit shorter look at it. And that's what a lot of companies do. So while we're talking about internships, and I know you guys are sharing a lot of information on the podcast, and I think we've got plans to share this, but there was a really interesting SHRM article that was in, I think it was the 2020 Spring HR Magazine issue. And it was titled, "Should You Create an Internship Program?" So we'll share this with you and you can look at that. And there's a lot of great tips in that. But it really, if you want just the cliff notes of it, it really only centers around 4 things. So the first thing, the central purpose of your program. I mean, it just needs to be building around a crop of future employees. That it's got to have that at the heart of what it's doing. And it really needs to be targeted towards specific business needs. And here's the other thing. I mean, it's important the interns know that they understand that that's why you're bringing them in, that you really have the intention of grooming them for future employment so that they can kind of feel that part of it. So that's number 1. Number 2, you need to assign real work. I mean, you got to make it a win-win. Don't just bring interns in to give them a chance to kind of kick the tires and see your business in a laboratory environment. I mean, that may be valuable for them, but it's not doing a whole lot for the business. And it's not giving them a chance to experience that real world situation. So find ways for them to get their hands in the business. Now, of course, with good supervision, but get their hands in the business. Not only is it going to help you, it's going to quite honestly help them determine if they have what it takes to really join the business. Number 3, make sure everyone in your organization is aware of the program. And not only that, that they understand its goals and that they're bought in. If you want to derail your internship program, nothing will do that faster for you than if you recreate a culture that turns the interns into an outsider. Okay. And they just feel like they're in their way. So I can tell you that a lot of internship programs, I think, struggle with that. So you need to be very aware of that as you're building it in. And finally, so this is number 4, measure your success. Not every intern program is a valuable one to the business, or even to an intern for that matter. So make sure you have SMART goals set up in the program ahead of time, so that you know what you want it to do and you know how you're being successful. And if the interns aren't bringing value to the business and showing potential or tangible potential for what they could do, I mean, you're wasting your time and you're wasting their time.
So while you were laying that out, Mark, my friend and former colleague, Darren Brooks, Dr. Darren Brooks, with Florida State University College of Business, was just giving some advice here as well, that he's saying that they find it challenging to help students understand how to effectively network. And he says, as you stated, it's not, many people just don't recognize the resources available, and that they find that it takes 2 to 3 years for companies to have inroads with students. So the more exposure they have, the earlier, the better. Which reminds me of, when you were talking about junior year and so forth, I remember years ago hearing about IBM starting to brand their company with 8th graders. So they'd come on campus and give presentations and so forth, and try to tie education to how that pays off in the work that they'll do in the future.
Hey, Mark, if I can jump in on that, that's such a great point, the students coming out with networking, because I think, and I know my kids, this is true, their idea of networking, I'm painting with a broad brush, is texting each other and things. And there's so much they need to learn about that face-to-face meeting folks. And that's one of the things that's a part of the Career Pro pathway. And it's a word we invented that is a big part of what's around here, positioning. And it's a combination of proactively positioning yourself in the right place at the right time with the right message to the right folks. So we do a lot of that in the community, teaching them how to do that. And I think it's a needed skill right now.
One more piece of advice from Darren. Again, Darren Brooks, look him up on LinkedIn if you like, and Florida State University. Many universities will work with employers to create internship opportunities out of part-time work as well. And for small companies, this will help them to meet needs while having an interest in developing future talent. So thanks, Darren. Appreciate your input there. So Mark, as we wrap up, I want to just try to summarize a couple of key points, maybe 2 or 3 that I heard from you. If you're a recruiter, an organization, a small, mid-sized company, a lot of large corporations already have early talent programs established, but if you're looking at setting one up, figure out how to get connected with tools like Handshake and Way Up. I believe those are the 2 of those. And start planning your intern co-op programs. Get them ready and get them organized to roll out in August is the key month. And if you're a student or a parent of one, what I heard you talking about there was start considering internship right before the junior year. And certainly REVEALTalent community can help and be a resource. Again, there's a lot of free stuff there, and be your career advocate if you need us to make introductions and so forth for you, and help you to execute a plan that will help you guide you throughout the career. Anything else that you would summarize there, Mark?
Just be ahead of the game. I think a lot of folks, they kind of wait for life to happen to them, and it makes it a whole lot harder to navigate it. And so whether you're a company who's trying to find that talent, or whether you're that talent trying to find a company, make sure you're being proactive and intentional.
Thanks for joining today. Justin, Sauce, anything that we need to do to wrap up? Any other items that you caught on chatter?
No, that would be it. Thank you, Darren Brooks, again, for your great comments and insights. And then, guys, as we mentioned, if you like articles or you want those websites again, please email us at givemethegoods@revealglobal.com, and we'll be happy to send your way.
Super. Thanks so much. And thanks, Darren Brooks, and for the input. And everybody have a great day. Take care.
Take care. Thanks.